systems, we have three methods to do that. The first one would be by substitution. You can also do by elimination or by graphing. I'm going to show you how to solve different linear systems using each one of these methods. I'm going to go ahead and use this pen to show you. The first one would be by substitution. And the first thing you need to do is solve for one of the variables. You can either solve for x or y in any equation. I'm going to go ahead and solve for y right here. So I'm going to say 2x plus y equals 1. All I need to do is subtract the 2x on both sides, and I get that y equals 1 minus 2x. The next step would be to plug in this answer into the other equation. So instead of y, I'm going to go ahead and plug my answer. So x minus, instead of y, I'm just going to use 1 minus 2x equals 5. It's always good to use parentheses every time you plug in something new. So now I'm going to go ahead and solve for the remainder equation, which is the x. So I'm going to go ahead and say x, and then I'm going to distribute this -1 inside the parentheses to each one of the numbers. So -1 times 1 is just -1. -1 times -2x is positive 2x equals 5. X over here plus another 2x's here will give you a total of 3x. I didn't do anything with the -1, so I'm going to keep it, equals 5. And then finally we need to solve for x. So I'm going to move the -1 by adding 1 on both sides. So these two cancel, and you get that 3x equals 5 plus 1 is 6. And then finally divide by 3 on both sides so that x is by itself. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. That's the answer for this. But the last thing you should do is solve for the first variable. The first one was over here. So now I know what x is, so all I have to do is plug it into here. So I'm going to go ahead and write it here, y equals 1 minus 2x. So again, instead of saying x, I'm going to say 2, because that's what I just found. And then finally you solve this. So -2 times 2 is -4, and y minus 4 is a -3. So the solution for this by the substitution method is that x is 2 and y is -3. All this means is that these two lines would intersect at the point 2, -3. It would be by elimination. And again, to do that, I'm going to go ahead and use this pen. So the first question you should ask would be, do we have opposites? The opposites are numbers that are the same but different signs. And I do right here. One is positive y, the other one is negative y. So if the answer is yes, add the two equations going down. So all you need to do is add these two. And 2x plus x is 3x. Y plus a negative y is the same as doing y minus y, which is just 0. And 1 plus 5 is 6. What variable was eliminated? Remember, this is elimination, so one variable should always be eliminated. My y was eliminated. So now I'm going to solve for the remaining one, which is x. So I'm going to say 3x equals 6 because I don't do anything with the 0. Divide both sides by 3. So this cancels, and you get that x equals 2 because 6 divided by 3 is 2. And now finally you're going to plug in the answer into the original equation to find the second variable. So these two I'm going to plug in here for x to find y. So I'm going to say 2 times, instead of x, I'm going to write 2 plus y equals 1. 2 times 2 is 4 plus y equals 1. And all I need to do now is solve for y. So to do that, I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides. So these are cancelled. And y equals 1 minus 4, which is -3. So the answer for this by elimination is x equals 2, y is equal to -3. Notice that it doesn't matter what method I use, I should always get the same answer. X equals 2, y equals negative 3. And the next thing would be to ask yourself if we have opposites, and in this one we don't, because 2 and 2 are not opposite, they're the same number. So if not, do we have the same numbers? The answer is yes. I have a 2 and a 2. So if yes, multiply one of the equations by negative 1 and ask yourself if we have opposites then. So it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and multiply this by negative 1 just because it has smaller numbers. When you multiply by negative 1, all you're doing is changing the signs for every single number. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the top one down here because I didn't do anything with that, so I keep it organized. And then I'm going to change all the signs here. Positive 2x is now negative 2x, positive 3y is now negative 3y, and positive 3 is now negative 3. So do I have opposites? I do now, 2 and negative 2. So if yes, add the two equations going down. So I'm going to add these two going down. 2 plus a negative 2 is 0. Negative 6y plus negative 3y is negative 9y. And 12 plus a negative 3 is 9. So what variable was eliminated? My x was eliminated. So now I need to solve for the remaining one. So all I need to do is divide this by negative 9 on both sides. This is gone now, so I get that y equals 9 divided by negative 1, which is just, 9 divided by negative 9, which is negative 1. That's my first answer. And then, like always, you're going to plug it into the original equation to find the second variable. So you can do it in either one of these. I'm going to plug it in here. So I'm going to do 2x minus 6. Instead of y, I'm going to plug in a negative 1 equals 12. And now I need to solve for x. So 2x, negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6 equals 12. So I'm going to subtract 6 on both sides, so these are gone. 2x equals 6 because 12 minus 6 is 6. And then all you need to do is divide both sides by 2 to get that x equals 3. So for these two lines, by the method of elimination, they are going to cross at x equals 3 and y equals negative 1. Elimination case. So you're going to ask yourself, do we have opposites? The answer is no, we do not have opposites, and we do not have the same numbers either. So if we don't, we're going to make them opposite. So we're going to multiply the entire top equation by the coefficient of the bottom. The coefficient is just the number in front of x, and multiplies the entire bottom equation by the coefficient of the top. That means that I'm going to have to multiply this by 3 because that's the coefficient of this, and all of this equation by 1 because that's the coefficient of my x right here. I put the 1 if you want to see it. And then to make them opposite, all you need to do is assign a negative to one of these. I'm going to go ahead and assign the negative to 1 just because it's easier to multiply by negative 1. And then you're going to distribute this 3 to every single number over here, and you're going to do the same with the negative 1. And remember, I told you that multiplying by negative 1 is just changing the signs. So for the top one, 3 times 1x is 3x, 3 times 2y is 6y, and 3 times negative 4 is just negative 12. And you do it again on the bottom. Negative 1 in front of the parentheses means change all the signs. So positive becomes negative, negative becomes positive, and negative here becomes positive again. So I'm just going to write it 12. So now that we have opposites, we're going to add the two equations going down and make sure that one variable is eliminated. Remember, this is called elimination, so one should always be eliminated. 3 plus a negative 3x plus a negative 3x is just 0. That's my variable that is eliminated. 6y plus 4y is 10y. And negative 12 plus 12 is 0. It's okay to get a 0. Now I need to solve for the remaining variable. So all I need to do is divide by 10, and 0 divided anything is just 0. That's my first answer. Like always, plug it into the first equation, the original equation, to find the remaining variable. So I'm going to plug in a y over on the first one. So x plus 2 times 0 instead of y equals -4. And now solve. X plus 2 times 0 is just 0 equals -4. So this is gone, so I have that x equals -4. So these two lines will cross at the point x equals -4, y equals 0. Your assistance will be by graphing. I'm going to go ahead and use the pen again. So the first thing we're going to do is cover x to find y. So if I cover these 2x over here, I get that y equals 1. And that's the point right here, y equals 1. And I'm going to do it again for the second one. So cover this x, and you get that -3y equals 6. To solve for y, you need to divide both sides by -3. So these two cancel. And you get that y equals -2, because 6 divided by -3 is -2. Y equals -2 down here, and then you're going to cover the y to find the x. So if I cover this y, I get that 2x is 1, divide both sides by 2, and you get that x is 1/2 or 0.5, and x is 0.5 down here. Now I'm going to go ahead and connect these 2 points, because where the points x equals 0.5 and y equals 1. And I'm going to cover the y to find x on the second one. So if I cover the y, none of this is here, and I get that x is 6. And x equals to 6 about right here. I'm going to make it there. And then I'm going to go ahead and connect these 2 points for the second line. And now we're going to find the intersection, which is right here. And we're estimating the answer. So I'm going to say that these two lines cross at about 1.6, and that's a comma, and -1.5. So by the graphing method, these two lines cross at the point 1.6 and -1.5.